Hey warriors, let me ask you something before we begin. Is this really about changing who you are? Or is it about remembering who you were before the world told you to shrink? Because this is not a transformation. This is recognition. Over the next 40 minutes, you're not going to discover something new. You're going to remember something ancient. A way of being that exists beneath the noise, beneath the performance, beneath the endless calculation of how to survive in a world that trained you to question your own presence. Here's the first truth most people miss. Dangerous confidence is not aggression disguised as certainty. It's not the loud voice in the room. It's not the boardroom posture or the stage-ready personality. So what is it? It's the energy that makes people lean in when you speak quietly. The gravity of someone who no longer fractures themselves for comfort. Someone who stopped editing their essence just to be accepted. Look around. The world is full of people performing confidence. Chest out, voice loud, laughter exaggerated. And yet, you feel the emptiness. You sense the effort behind it. Why? Because real confidence doesn't need amplification. It lives in the pause before you speak. In the steadiness of your eyes, in the way you don't rush to fill silence when it stretches. Right now, you may be carrying an invisible weight, not dramatic, not obvious, but constant. The weight of chronic self-monitoring, the exhaustion of translating yourself into something more digestible, the quiet violence of filtering your truth before it ever reaches your mouth. This weight doesn't arrive all at once. It accumulates. Every time you laugh at something that isn't funny, every time you nod when your body wants to say no, every time you apologize for existing without permission. And here's the question most people avoid. Why does this cost so much? Because the cost isn't always visible, but it's always felt. You feel it in how long it takes you to speak in meetings, in how you rehearse simple conversations, in how one difficult interaction takes 3 days to recover from. So understand this clearly. This video is not here to give you more strategies. You don't need another system, another framework, another set of rules to perform correctly. What you need is subtraction, the removal of what never belonged to you, the fears that were planted, the doubts that were inherited, the performance that replaced presence. Philosopher Martin Heidegger called this thrownness, the idea that you were thrown into a world filled with expectations, meanings, and scripts you never chose. Confidence begins when you examine what you were thrown into and consciously decide what stays. Now here's where most people misunderstand confidence. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio discovered that emotion comes before thought. Your body generates feeling states first, and your thinking follows, which means confidence is not just mindset work. It's nervous system work. Your body doesn't learn confidence from affirmations alone. It learns confidence through repeated experiences of safety. That's why this is not motivational thunder that disappears by Tuesday, not borrowed courage, not temporary hype. What we're building here is structure, internal architecture that holds even when conditions don't. Each principle builds on the last. Skip nothing. Rush nothing. This is precision work. And before we go further, let me ask you directly, if this already feels like it's speaking to you, why ignore it? Support Modern Stoic Mind. Like the video. Share it with someone who needs their strength back. Subscribe if you're ready to build a calmer, stronger inner world. Now we begin. Type this if you're done playing small. I don't bend. I rise. Number 1. Stop performing certainty you don't feel. Here's the real confidence crisis of our time. It's not that people lack confidence. It's that they're pretending to have it while suffocating underneath. You've seen it. The laugh that's too loud. The certainty that feels brittle. The person who can't tolerate being questioned. because their identity is a construction, not a foundation. So, what do dangerously confident people do differently? They admit uncertainty without losing authority. They say, "I don't know," without their voice shaking. They say, "I'm still figuring this out," without shrinking. They say, "I changed my mind," without defense. This is confidence evolved beyond performance. Most people were taught that confidence means never revealing doubt, never showing process, never letting anyone see the scaffolding behind the finished building. So they build facades. They speak in absolutes. They hide confusion. They fake fluency. And the cost is massive, because when you perform certainty, you don't feel, you split yourself. There's the version that speaks, and the version that watches itself speak in panic. This split drains you. It leaves you exhausted after simple interactions, depleted, disconnected. Psychologist Fritz Perls called this the difference between authentic living and performed existence. When you live in performance mode, you manage impressions instead of experiencing reality. And here's the psychological twist. Research by Breen Brown revealed something unexpected. People trust vulnerability more than polished perfection. Not vulnerability as performance. Not curated honesty. Real vulnerability. The willingness to be unfinished. Think about the people you truly trust. Not the ones you admire from a distance, but the ones you feel safe with. They've shown uncertainty. They've admitted mistakes. They've changed their thinking. And instead of losing respect, they gained it. Why? Because authenticity creates connection that perfection never can. Dangerous confidence includes intellectual humility, strong positions, open hands. As Richard Feynman said, "I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned." That's real confidence. Flexible, curious, undecorated. And when you stop performing certainty, something releases. Energy returns. Presence deepens. Trust increases. People feel the difference between grounded confidence and desperation disguised as control. Number 2, master the language of boundaries. Because confidence lives or dies at the border between you and the world. That border is called a boundary. And most people's boundaries are so thin, they barely exist. You say yes when you mean no. You tolerate what drains you. You give time you don't have. And every violation teaches your nervous system one thing. You are not safe, even with yourself. Dangerously confident people have clear boundaries, not walls, not hostility. Clear, calm, consistent limits. As Nedra Glover Tawwab explains, boundary issues are not about other people. They're about your relationship with yourself. A house without walls isn't open. It's unlivable. Boundaries don't isolate you. They make presence possible. And when you begin to practice them, discomfort will appear. Guilt, fear, resistance. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're breaking an old pattern. People who care about you will adapt. People who only benefited from your silence will resist. This is information. Dangerous confidence knows the difference and lets discomfort exist. Your peace is not negotiable. Your energy is not public property. If you're done justifying your existence, write this now. I don't explain myself. Number 3, develop emotional non-reactivity. Confidence is not measured only by what you do, but by what you refuse to respond instead of reacting. That's the difference. Dangerously confident people have cultivated something rare. Emotional non-reactivity. Let me ask you this. What if the real power isn't in winning arguments, but in refusing to be hijacked by them? Emotional non-reactivity is the ability to witness criticism, provocation, chaos, or tension, and not be possessed by it. This is not suppression. This is not emotional numbness. This is sovereignty. The Stoics called it apatheia, not apathy, but freedom from being ruled by external events. Buddhist philosophy calls it equanimity. Modern psychology calls it emotional regulation. Different names. Same power. Most people are reactive. Someone criticizes them. They defend. Someone challenges them. They fight. Someone withdraws. They chase. Someone attacks. They collapse. Their emotions are on strings, and the world pulls them. Confident people cut the strings. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That space, that pause, is where confidence lives. When someone provokes you and you don't react, you demonstrate mastery. Not over them, over yourself. You show that their chaos does not enter your nervous system, that their emotional storm does not become your weather. And this changes everything. Think about the people who unsettle you. They're unpredictable, mood-driven, reactive. Now, think about the people who ground you. They're steady, consistent, internally regulated. Who do you trust more? You can become that person. Non-reactivity is not a personality trait. It's a practice. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett showed that emotions are not automatic reactions. They are predictions based on past patterns, which means this is trainable. Every time you pause, instead of react, you rewire. Every time you breathe, instead of firing back, you build new neural pathways. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you strengthen emotional sovereignty. Here's how this looks in real life. When someone criticizes you, don't defend. Don't explain. Say calmly, "I'll consider that." And later, when you're regulated, decide if it's useful or not. Either way, you weren't controlled. When someone tries to provoke you, recognize the attempt. They're trying to transfer their dysregulation to you. You don't have to accept the transfer. Stay slow. Stay grounded. Watch them exhaust themselves. Provocateurs feed on reaction. When you don't give it, they lose power. When plans fail, don't spiral. Ask one question instead. What's the next move? That's the difference between panic and problem solving. One is survival circuitry. The other is leadership. Create space. Delay responses. Let emotional waves pass. Triggers are often old wounds speaking. Pausing separates the past from the present. When someone is angry, don't match them. Listen without absorbing. Their anger is information, not a command. This is how escalation ends. Over time, the space between stimulus and response grows. Half a second, then seconds, then calm under pressure. This is dangerous confidence, not because nothing affects you, but because nothing owns you. If pressure used to break you but doesn't anymore, claim this calm. Number 4. Reclaim your attention from external validation. Here's the question most people never ask. Where is your attention leaking? Every day you wake up with a limited budget of attention, and most of it is spent outward, checking reactions, replaying conversations, monitoring perception. This is not living. This is auditing. Dangerously confident people pull their attention back. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi found that flow states are impossible when self-monitoring. You cannot be deeply engaged and self-judging at the same time. Confidence lives where flow lives. When your attention is external, you fragment. Part of you acts. Part of you watches. Part of you imagines being watched. That fragmentation is exhausting. The shift begins with a new question. Instead of, "What will they think?" ask, "What do I actually want?" Instead of, "Did this get approval?" ask, Was this true? As attention returns, energy returns, presence returns, confidence returns. Because confidence is not projected. It's experienced. Create validation-free zones. Do things without announcing them. Delay checking feedback. This discomfort is withdrawal from conditioning. Internal validation is real confidence. If you choose self-respect over approval today, say it. I choose myself. Number 5. Understand confidence is built through micro-decisions. Confidence doesn't arrive with a big moment. It's built through small ones. Every decision is a vote for who you're becoming. You speak or stay silent. Vote. You honor your boundary or collapse. Vote. Behavioral science shows tiny actions compound into identity. Confidence is trust between present you and future you. Every kept promise builds trust. Every broken one erodes it. Dangerously confident people practice micro-integrity. Make small promises. Keep them. Lower the bar. Raise consistency. Track completion, not perfection. When you slip, reset. Don't shame. Over time, a quiet certainty forms. Not bravado. Reliability. That consistency becomes your signature. Number 6. Stop defending your reality. Here's the question. Why do you need permission to exist? Defending your reality is seeking approval. Confident people state their reality and let it stand. They don't argue experience. They don't negotiate boundaries. They acknowledge disagreement without absorbing it. This isn't rigidity. It's self-authorship. When you stop defending, resistance dissolves. Your reality becomes like water. It doesn't fight rocks. It flows. If you're rebuilding trust with yourself, lock this in. I keep my word. Number 7. Embrace strategic invisibility. Confidence is not constant visibility. That's performance. Strategic invisibility is discernment. Speaking when it matters. Silence when it doesn't. When you stop performing, presence gains weight. Build quietly. Work without announcing. Exist without proving. When you choose visibility, it's intentional, not needy. This is dangerous confidence, not constructed, excavated. Everything here wasn't added. It was removed. What remains is who you always were. Calm, grounded, whole. You're not becoming confident. You're remembering it. Carry this forward. Into meetings. Into relationships. Into conflict. Into silence. Not perfect, but whole. If this strengthened you, pass it on. Support Modern Stoic Mind. You didn't come here to perform. You came here to return. Welcome home.